Good evening. It's Tuesday, October 8th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. I am calling the ACT Committee agenda to order, and it is with Brian McGinnis, Sheila Vaccaro, and myself, Brian Travis. The first order of business tonight on the agenda is announcements. Does anybody have any announcements?
I do not.
Second item, comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance regarding items not on this agenda. Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to item number 3, reports, and 3A is the CISO quarterly report.
Thank you. So this is covering July to September. And all these are put together from our monthly report that we send it to the committee, to the borough manager. I don't need to go over our mission anymore. I think everybody knows. We're there to do everything we can to make everything happen. These are our project lists. We're really getting towards the end of the year. We're doing pretty good. We're going to start working on mobile device management soon. And we're still working on just updating the website best we can with each department. Unscheduled events, these are events I do not like. These are events that we have to come in on the weekend or the evening, something that's not planned. And back on July 14th, which was a Sunday morning, the police department reported that they couldn't get to our website from within the network. I knew right away it was internal because it was working outside of the network. It was working on cellular. And then working with Civic Plus, we were able to determine that our DNS settings had to be updated, that were on the server or DNS server. So that just talks about that. That never impacted the community, but it did impact inside. The police department used a lot of forms on the website, and that's how they recognized that it was down. So by about 1 o'clock, it was back up internally, and the public never saw that. But DNS is like the phone book for the internet, and that is something that had to be updated. And then going through each month's unscheduled events, these are other initiatives. These are not help desk tickets. These are something bigger than help desk tickets, but they're not projects. These are things that just come into the IT office outside of those two things. You can see there's a lot of activity. This is just some of it. The ones in yellow are just mentioned for a second. We were having a problem with this screen that you're looking at, where the tabs on the two sides were they're held together, believe it or not, by glue. And I was really afraid that the thing was not going to come down anymore and get all jammed up. So we were able to very inexpensively with Verizon, who does the service, get all new tabs put on there. So we don't need a new screen. Let's see, what does that say? We added connected services dashboard for the public on our website. This is something that Nick actually recommended, and it's called StatusGator. It's the name of the service. So if you go to our IT part of the website, all of our cloud services, you could see like Clover or the website or all these different services we use are the up or the down. So it's a good way for us to not only troubleshoot internally, is it our problem or somebody else's? If the public could actually look at that, if they go to a website and it's not working, well, they can't go to the portal. They want to get there from their website. But it's a good way to keep an update on what's working and what's not. There's a lot of furniture rearrangement in the police department lately, and you would think furniture rearrangement doesn't really involve IT, but it does. So Dave Martz, who's the chief communication officer, we relocated his office. We redid a new briefing room, which made a lot of IT movement around. Yes, that was a lot of fun. Just like some of these yellow ones, aren't that many on this one. This is August. We did a new online rental inspection booking form for the building and housing department. This is where residents or contractors can go online and hit the booking and schedule an appointment. They don't even know which officer they're getting. To see all it's integrated with our Outlook. So that's been a good, I think, addition to them. We added a new landlord tenant form in Excel for them, where they can extract information each month. And of course, in August, I already started preparing for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. My favorite time of year. September, we had one last firewall to install, an HA, which is high availability firewall. It's a secondary. We put a new one in at Public Works. That was by contract. There was no cost for that. The AC unit down there, which keeps all of our equipment at Public Works cool, died. We had to put a new AC unit in. And we're actually adding some power redundancy to our network switches. What else is yellow here? We're still installing new surveillance cameras at Goose Creek Wastewater. That may be one of the best monitored wastewater plants in the area. We're adding a lot of cameras down there at Sean Mitchell's leadership. I'm still finalizing with Barracuda's engineers their data inspector service. We're one of the first adopters of this. And this is a service in which it scans all of the Microsoft files in the tenant. That's email, Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, looking for PII, personally identifiable information content, and alerting that employee to take a look at that. Do they want to keep it there or do they want to redact it? And we've been working with the Building and Housing in that month, making a whole new land development area on the website. So people, if they're interested in these projects, it's up there now. It's not done yet, but it's getting there. We can go, you can see all that in one area. You can even see a timeline of all the projects. Help desk, this is basic help desk services. Everything from software to hardware, printer issues, phone issues. We've done 582 from January through September. It's about 66 a month. And this slide here just shows some of the cybersecurity actions that go on here all the time. Impersonation and phishing and scamming, extortion response. This is automated responses of things that the employers are not even seeing. It's stopping it. But when that does happen, we do take a few moments to double check that nothing got through in addition to what was stopped. Incident response, this is my favorite one. I always say this, because this is one where employees find something suspicious or just unwanted. They're empowered. If it's just spam or it's sales message, they just don't want these. They're empowered to send these to us, get them out of their inbox, stop them from happening. So that shows a very engaged staff, I think. Account takeover, this has happened twice where someone is trying to get into someone's email account or the 365 account. They're not able to, but we get alerted and we double check that nothing has happened there. Security awareness training, this is also fun for the employees. Once a month, they all get a phishing test message, and we can gauge their response and communicate and work with them if anyone's clicking on these things. They do a very good job. And cybersecurity planning and review, Jeff and I are constantly meeting once a week, talking just about cybersecurity for a few hours, going over our cybersecurity action plan, which is really important. And then I include the Cybersecurity Friday, Cybersecurity Daily activities in there, and the Cybersecurity Awareness Month activities. In the news, I got to say, I was on the State Tech Magazine talking about cybersecurity. That was exciting. In this one, that we were in the local on the 30th, talking about cybersecurity in local government and for the community at large. I hope everyone's enjoying the Cybersecurity Friday newsletter. I take that very seriously. That's an ongoing training for employees. I think it's very popular. I'm just saying that. And then recently, the past several months, I've added the Cybersecurity Daily YouTube channel. Every day, Monday through Friday, is a 2 to 5 minute video for the staff and the community and the stakeholders. And when that article for the local went out, we got like 40 more subscribers to that channel. It's just 2 to 5 minute video about cybersecurity each day. And each week has a theme. This week is multi-factor authentication, just so you know. Let me say. We're trying to get as much training as we can in that department. Both Jeff and I are always attending training or webinars and just staying on top of what's occurring in the landscape of cybersecurity and technology. The 2024 budget is moving along as expected, no surprises there. And we're just about finished. I had to make one modification to the 2025 budget, so we're about done that with the IT part. And the highlights of 2025, as I stated for our budget, is now we will be doing quarterly or twice a year penetration testing. We did one of those already. This is where you pay a third party to go in there and try to hack your network. Then you can gauge and you get a report and you can really make modifications based on this. I think it's important to do that at least twice a year. The cybersecurity landscape is always changing. We need to stay on on top of that. We have right now money in there for a new agenda and meeting center on the website, which may help us even make our meetings management even better for everyone, from you guys to us to the community for finding information. We also have upgrades scheduled for all these microphones, which is a harder task than you think it is. The company who makes these, Aerodynamic, they don't make microphones anymore. When you get microphones, you have to get new audio equipment, and you have to get that integrated into your streaming and recording services. So, but that's in the budget for next year. We're continuing our lease payment on our HP servers that we bought last year. And of course, next year, continuing replacing workstations on a scheduled basis. And I think, and I'm not going to go through this, I know the toys are on, but I have 2 amazing slides on Cybersecurity Awareness Month. You're welcome to read it and ask me questions later. But the staff is going through this every day, and I think they're all very excited. I think you guys excited? Okay, they're very excited. Each week there's a theme, and it's done by the Department of Homeland Security. That's a very good program. We've been doing this since 2020 with them. And that's all I have for you, unless you guys have questions for me.
Thank you. I think the land development page on the website is going to be really helpful. We field a lot of questions, and I sometimes don't know how to answer them. So a nice place to refer people to updates and progress is a really great idea. I don't have any other comments. Do you have any questions or comments up there in the dais? Any in the public? Okay, seeing none, we will move on from reports to old business. First item is 4A, approve September 2024 meeting minutes. Any changes or?
No.
Okay. We will move on then to 4B, which is discuss staffing during Westchester University special events that occurred on weekends. We opened this up for discussion last September, our September meeting, and believe there were going to be some recommendations that came following that, or is this another chance for us to talk about? I know that Sean and you and I had talked about some potential shifting of schedules, so I didn't know if you had an update here for us or.
No, nothing more detailed than the following. We did have a conversation with the Public Works Director and the Director of Building and Housing looking for some more support on Saturdays and Sundays, but we do agree that it's not a full-time 8-hour both day kind of situation. We'd be looking at a 4-hour shift probably on a Saturday. We certainly should be targeting weekends that we know there's going to be more activity, things like move-in week, and homecoming are 2 examples. So we know when we're going to have more problems, so we can get ahead of this. Right now, our solution that we're looking into, we're not ready to implement it yet, though, is to offer some overtime to existing staff. Mostly we're going to try and target public works staff to bring them in to look at trash issues, and that presents some logistic hurdles that we have to resolve that get into issuing tickets, following up on tickets, getting trained to do that. All of that requires a little bit more effort. So we have to get back together with our public works team before we can actually get the gears moving on that. But that's our idea for the time being.
Because homecoming's in just a couple weeks here, so I didn't know if we had something already planned or in place for public works, potentially parking. I know the police will have extra people and staff.
We'll have a lot of police coverage on homecoming. I believe they do have a surge for their staffing on that weekend. We may not have that in place for building and housing and public works yet because of the logistics issues, but.
Any additional comments or?
I just want to share that I am getting complaints about student issues in Ward 5, which is, I just want to say that out loud, that this is becoming more of an issue than it has been in the past.
Well, not to steal tomorrow's thunder, but we have, in the month of September, we have issued 16 citations. Mostly all of them are on disruptive conduct, noise ordinance in response to issues of loud music, parties, things of that nature. And we'll go over more of that tomorrow night, but that just proves our point that we didn't know what we were getting into with the school starting and our refocus on these issues. And in August, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We had 7 citations issued in August. 5 of them were for disruptive conduct and noise. So we really saw a pickup of that in September, with most of them being issued in that week of September 13 through 15th. And we booked a few more today that we've heard from the police department about. But we'll go over more of that in public safety and smart growth tomorrow night. We'll talk about the time it takes to close these issues, where the points have accumulated so far. And we even had our first duplicate disruptive conduct report, which initiates eviction process. The landlord has to initiate eviction processes in those cases. We thought we were going to get in a fight with them about that, but they were entirely compliant. The tenant's going to be evicted. And of course, there's contractual, a renter's agreement is a contract. You just can't, there's clauses that govern the time that has to go before you can evict somebody. But that process has started. That'll be concluded before the end of the year. So that's a case where we did get a duplicate report on a same property, and that was within 3 weeks of each other. The same issue, same property, same person happened 3 weeks apart. So.
The concern in Ward 5 is not renters. There are students lying in the middle of the streets. It's just our streets. They're quiet and open, and the students feel that they can come into our neighborhood and use it as a party area. And so we can't, I'm reading this about weekend stuff as an opportunity to sort of get out there and just let them know that there are rules to follow. Like, you shouldn't lie in the middle of the street intoxicated.
I guess congregating and drinking too much publicly, that's definitely something the police can respond to for sure. Yeah. Really, any time of the week, any time of the day, any day of the week.
The residents need to call the
Yeah, it needs to be reported when it's happening, and then we
Right.
can give the feedback directly to the people. You're right.
Anything else? Okay. So do we leave this item on the agenda to continue talking about it, or should we just roll it into next month until we have some sort of recommendation or resolution on this?
Yeah, we're happy to report our progress on it to any committee that wants to hear about it, for sure.
Okay. All right. We'll just keep it on the agenda for next month then. Thank you. Next item of old business is discuss amendments to rules and procedures of Borough Council. So these are our own bylaws. These are the rules we follow for our own meetings, work session, Borough Council voting session, and committee meetings, as well as appointments to boards and commissions, et cetera. We went through one round of revisions last week, but we're not quite ready. So we're going to table this item for next month and have a more complete recommendation to deliver at that point, and then discuss with council.
I'm fine with that.
All right, new business. Next item. Actually, yeah. So this is something that's also been ongoing, but we have new information on the RFP that we put out for potentially new healthcare. Also, I believe, include dental insurance as well. So, John.
Good evening, John Krauser, HR Director. So this is the culmination of several months of work for getting this request for proposal for healthcare services completed. The quotes that we've received so far have been, we put out a lot of interest, or received a lot of interest, but we only received 3 quotes that came back from the same provider, or I'm sorry, from the same carrier. So Benecon runs through, who works with PIMIC, the Pennsylvania Municipal Insurance Cooperative. They provided us with quotes for 3 different carriers, our current renewal through United Healthcare, as well as 2 different quotes that are both lower, and we'll go through those pages momentarily. I did put packets in front of you, and I apologize for not being able to get it to you sooner, but we extended the deadline for this RFP to yesterday, to the 7th, to give every possible opportunity to anyone to get a quote in that could. And since PIMIC through Benecon is the only one that provided quotes, this is what we're presenting for this year. So I think you'll find that these quotes are competitive, and will save the borough money in the long run. Just a brief review of the process. So council did request an RFP back in March. Over the summer, we defined the timeline and communicated with providers. In August, we solicited quotes from the providers. Again, multiple interest, but only reviewed quotes from Benecon, since they were the only ones that submitted official quotes. In October this year, we extended the RFP to October 7th, and tonight is the results of that. If you turn to page 3, just a brief definition for these different types of plans. So there's fully insured,
John,
which is,
let me make
please.
pause for just a second. Is there an attachment that we can put up on the screen for this, or is
There's
this
not.
just in front of us?
Right.
Okay. All
It's
right,
in
thank
front
you.
of you. Yep. Fully insured is essentially defined as it pays for fixed premiums to an insurance carrier, which then assumes the risk and responsibility for paying all healthcare claims. This model offers predictable cost, but minimal administrative duties to the employer. Where self-insured plans, like our current plan is, the self-insured or self-funded, the employer assumes the financial risk for providing health care benefits to the employees. Instead of paying a premium to the insurer, the employer sets aside funds to pay claims directly. Now, for us, because we're part of PIMIC, again, it's a health insurance cooperative, that third definition is very, very important. So cooperative insurance plans involve multiple employers banding together to pool their resources and share the risk of providing healthcare coverage. So why this is important to us, in PIMIC, just in the southern sector, we have over 1,000 employees that are represented by, I believe, over 20, and it is in the packet. Forgive me if I missed the number, but it's in the range of 20 different municipalities just in the southern region that are all covered under PIMIC, which ultimately gives us the opportunity to receive the best possible pricings versus a single organization that may get higher pricing. For page 4, this is just a simple chart to represent all of our active employees and what their status is, whether they're employee family, employee only, and waived. The only ones that are missing from this chart are those employees that are retired police officers that still have our medical coverage. And there are several of those. So moving quickly through, page 5 is just a year-to-date cost and history. One of the reasons why we don't have the 2024 completely filled in, we haven't received the December bills yet, but all other bills for the year of 2024 have been included. So you can kind of see year over year how much we're gaining in cost. And there is a 12-month roll up on that, equaling a little over 2.36 million. The next page, page 6, the key lines here are going to be your claims paid and surplus. So if you compare the two, you'll see where the higher the claims are, the lower the surplus is, or the lower refund that we get each year for our healthcare coverage. Looking at 2020, 2021, and 2022, those were the years when the pandemic was at its height and on both ends. You'll notice that a lot fewer people were going to the doctor, so we paid a lot less in claims, so we received a much higher refund or surplus at the end of the year. What that does is prove that the model actually works, that if employees are healthier, or that unfortunately the pandemic produced an experience where they could not go to the doctor, but if they're healthier through wellness and other activities, and understand the holistic wellness program, which we'll get into in a moment, then our surplus becomes better at the end of the year. When PIMIC and Benecon does better, we do better. Okay. Moving on to the real meat and potatoes of the slides. Slide 7, you're going to see the 3 different quotes that we have. So the first one is United Healthcare at 2.219 million expected cost. That would be if you vote to stay with our current plan and do not move. The second plan is Independence Blue Cross. That's the middle 2 columns. That is 2.210 million, which would bring our cost down estimated by $9,270. And then the third one is Highmark Blue Shield, which would ultimately bring the cost down of our medical coverage by over $42,000 annually. One thing to mention at the bottom of this slide that you'll see is the wellness credits. So under the current plan, we receive $6,000 in wellness credits that we can put towards wellness events, such as the one that we're going to be doing this October 31st for all of our employees, and the one that we conducted last year for all of our employees. Independence Blue Cross will provide us with a $10,000 wellness credit, and Highmark will provide us with $6,300 in a wellness credit. But also, for joining Highmark, they will provide us with an implementation credit of $12,600, which could be applied to a vast array of wellness programs that we can use to better the overall lives and welfare of our employees. So, yes.
Is that just a one-time?
That is a one-time, yes. It's a one-time implementation for coming over. That is still separate, though, even without that, is still separate from the bottom line of the overall cost, which puts Highmark $42,000 cheaper or more affordable than our current plan. The next slide simply shows what the difference would be between what we currently have if we renewed next year to if we went fully funded, which would mean we simply, again, defining that, we simply pay the insurer a set premium per year. And then there is no, we would have to pay essentially what we've referred to as a termination fee, which comes out to be between $450,000 and $460,000 that we would lose. If you look at the bottom lines, you'll see how those numbers are allocated. The estimated runout claims at $221,000, specific runout coverage at $213,000, and then runout administrative fees at $82.46. All of those fees together add up to just under $500,000. So we would have to pay those if we went fully funded. And that basically explains slide 9. So going to slide 10, just one or two other things to mention. With both Independence Blue Cross and with Highmark Blue Shield, we do receive Axia, which is something that it's Axia Women's Health, which would provide OBGYN coverage, which under the current plan, under United Healthcare, was lost to us early this year. And we have received several concerns from both unions, female employees, as well as female dependents, that they've had to change doctors, from primary care physicians to OBGYNs, because of the change or the loss of Axia with UHC. So this is an opportunity for us to give our female employees and our female dependents, daughters, wives, so forth, the opportunity to either choose to go back to their OBGYN originally, and still at the same time save the borough thousands of dollars. So the staff recommendation after all of that is to stay with PIMIC, but to switch from the United Healthcare plan over to the Highmark Blue Shield plan. We have earlier today, both the borough manager and myself spoken to union representatives, and they have tentatively given support for that as long as their concerns are met, that these plans are apples to apples comparative, that everything that is covered under the current plan is covered under the Highmark plan, which we have received word that it will be. Since it is a self-insured plan, that means we get to choose the coverages that are there and the coverages that are not. And we are choosing an apples to apples approach, barring none. The contract, both CBAs dictate exactly what we must cover, and we will cover all of that. So are there any questions?
The first question I have is, I know that in the budget discussions we had last month, there was a wellness plan item that was being introduced because I believe that that was a gap or deficiency in our current health plan.
That's correct.
And we added that in there. With this new Highmark plan, is there a wellness component that comes with it, or will we still need to budget for that item?
Yes, there is a wellness component that comes with that. So again, turning to page 7, if you look at the bottom of page 7, you'll see that there are wellness credits that are there and available.
Yeah, I saw the credits. I wasn't sure what that actually, could you just elaborate on what that actually is?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, the wellness event that will be going on October 31st, which we also use as our kickoff to our open enrollment program, or the open enrollment time period, so that employees have enough time to register for what benefits they want or what benefits they don't beginning January 1. The money that we get from this goes towards that event. What that event brought in last year and will bring in again has been items like massage chairs, healthy food items. We're bringing in occupational health to deliver courses and presentations on healthy living and heart health this year. We are also bringing in acupressure and a variety of other healthy food choices to give employees an opportunity to see what some options are that are out there. And receiving the vast feedback that I did from employees last year, they really enjoyed this event, which really boosted their mindset towards a healthy living style. Other things that we could do with the funds that are provided to us is implement a more robust wellness program where we're addressing different wellness issues throughout the year, provide more classes, bring in other instructors, and get the whole mind, body, and mental wellness addressed in a more holistic fashion.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So we have a recommendation, and I think we discussed this a little bit briefly before we kicked off the meeting, that we actually want to have this item on the work session agenda for all of council to also discuss,
Mhm.
and along with your recommendation. Are there any comments or suggestions, questions?
No, I would rather go to the full council, and just because we're getting this information now.
Okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, you just want to move this to the discussion for next Tuesday.
Correct. Yes.
Understood.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
We'll see you Tuesday. Thank you. Okay, next item, other business. Any other business? Okay, seeing none, we are adjourned at 6:05.